Ulukut. Good afternoon. Sorry. I see a photo of on the photos that you can see right now. This year is our 30th anniversary, Avatec. I'm wearing the T-shirt today to show you the special occasion. And I'd like to dedicate my presentation to Isaac Perlayat, which is the person on the left who passed away a year ago. He was our longest board members. He was there since the beginning in 1981, and we miss him dearly. Hopefully I'm not going to go over 12 minutes, and I might be under 12 minutes. I'll just hope for the best. Basically, tourism in Nunavik. The idea behind that project came to me many years ago, long before IPINCH, because it's a subject that's been discussed in Nunavik for many years. And we've had several failed attempts in the past to put together something that would bring tourists to Nunavik and replace hunting and fishing by cultural relevance, with people visiting the country for the culture instead of for the caribou and the char. So we've tried several times in the 90s to put together something that would bring that cultural tourism aspect in Nunavik to the visitors. Obviously, it never took off. They were all failed attempts. So when IPINCH came and I was offered to do a case study, this is the first thing that came to my mind. Okay, let's try to understand cultural tourism in Nunavik. Just to give those who don't know where Nunavik is the whole of northern Quebec. It's over 500,000 square kilometers. You can fit France twice in this land. It's an enormous territory. There's 14 communities and 12,000 people living there. And 99% are Inuit. So the idea was, because obviously 14 communities is a lot of place to cover. It's a big territory to cover. So we've decided to focus the project on two communities, Kanesuyuak and Kaneswalukjuak, because in each cases there's a national parks that either was open a few years ago or is about to be open in one case. And we also included Kuujjuaq in the study because Kuujjuaq is the administration center where all political decisions are taken, where discussions about tourism is also taking place. So we've spread our work this summer in these three communities. And because, and somebody mentioned this earlier also, because of ethics issues, it took us a very long time to get our case study started. Several months, because we were planning on doing this in the spring, when people are still in the community and more easily accessible. But we ended up, because of that, we ended up doing the study in July. So there was half the people were out fishing at camps and hunting. So it changed a bit our objectives for the first part of the project. So what we were able to do this year, this summer, is we were able to carry 16 interviews, formal interviews, and 11 informal interviews. I cannot really give you the distinction between formal and informal. That's my colleague, Emilie, that presented it this way. But there was over 27 interviews done. And we also did 2 radio shows where people were calling in. They knew the team was, okay, what do you think about cultural tourism in Nunavik? And call us if you have any comments or suggestions or things to say about this. Just briefly, the interviews were carried on by Émilie Ruffin, who was a PhD student at Laval University, and Tommy Witalotuk, which is our resident Inuk archaeologist that is based in Inukjuak. I was peripheral to the whole process because I was involved in other projects that I will mention that are actually related to cultural tourism, but on a different level, and it's nothing to do with IPINCH, not directly anyway. So just very briefly, what has come out of the interview process. is that well, the first surprising thing that we've learned was that KRG, the Kativik Regional Government, was very surprised that Avatak was undertaking a study on the relevance of tourism, cultural tourism in Nunavik, stating that Avatak had no business looking into this matter because it was a matter that KRG, Kativik, was actually working on. But I went back to the original documents in Nunavik that concerns the development of cultural tourism, and it's clearly written in the statement that Avatak should be consulted in every stages of the study. So we've actually went forward with that without actually consulting them because there was nothing happening at that level anyway. So, but anyway, so in the communities, what we've noticed is that people are actually very keen on having their culture shown to visitors. One of the things that came out of the interviews is that people don't believe that there's going to be any form of tourism in the near future, which is kind of interesting because there's actually some tourism happening, but it's at a very low scale. And that's something that came in the interviews, and that's something that if you try to go to Nunavik, you will realize very quickly. It's very expensive to go there. If you want to go on a hunting trip or a fishing trip, you're looking at $7,000 for a 7-day stay. So you can imagine that for somebody that wants to visit a community, it would be in that same range of prices. So we're talking about luxury tourism right now. And that's one thing that people in the villages see as an obstacle to having visitors coming to their territory. Okay, so this is one of the big points that came out of that of the interviews. There's also another aspect to this, and this one is important because. And it relates to what KRG thinks about our involvement in that kind of project, is that the local people, they don't feel that they're involved in any form into cultural tourism development. Nobody is consulting them on what should be done, what kind of tourism they should be developed, what sites should be visited, how all this should be organized, implemented. There is absolutely been no consultation with the local people. And this is something they feel that should be done. And they welcome the Avatak initiatives through IPINCH to actually start talking about this kind of things so that some form of consensus will eventually come out of that. So, like I just said, the main issue that concerned them was the fact that they felt left out of the whole process. And when you're discussing these questions with government representative in Nunavik, they elude the questions pretty much, and they mentioned that they're not at that stage yet, but they're actually preparing and developing some tourism package without consulting the communities, and this is something that's very, 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 very disturbing to local people. And because of all these because of this lack of communication, people believe that tourism is not something that will eventually come as an important economic development tool. Obviously, this is something that people think, and when they're thinking about tourism, trying to make some money out of that. So what they're suggesting, and this is where Avatak comes in with the project, is that we're trying to develop a form of organization that would be outside of the political system, outside of Avatak, and an independent body that would actually be responsible for managing and presenting and developing tourism projects for the whole of Nunavik. Okay, so like I said, we did phase 1, but because it was in July, we're planning on redoing another set of interviews. That was not planned at first. We were supposed to do phase 1 in the 3 communities in one shot, but right now, because of the delays, we're probably planning on doing a second phase of interviews in the communities within the next few months, either in November or December, before Christmas. anyway. And what we're trying to determine right now is, are we going to do these interviews live, I mean sending somebody in the communities, or using other means like Skype or telephone, because to reduce the cost of traveling, which is very high in Nunavik. And after this, phase 2 in the original proposal, phase 2 will concern interviews and discussions with government representatives from the South, people at the provincial and federal level that are involved in tourism development in Nunavik. Okay. And there's also the workshop plan at the end of the interview process that will take place probably next spring. Hopefully, it would be nice to have it at the same time as the CA, the Canadian Archaeological Association meeting in Montreal in May. Very briefly, I mentioned earlier, there was where I'm developing also at the same time as I'm doing the iPinch project, practical applications of cultural tourism applied to archaeology. We're doing 2 projects in Kanasuiwak that with the communities and the landholding corporation that involves the study and the identifications of places in the land that would be used as specific case studies where tourists could be brought and explain the land with the elders and the youth involved in the project. And lastly, maybe some of you are aware, there's a big development plan in Quebec right now. It's called Plan A. Plan A is intending on ripping off 50% of the land, saving the other 50 for future generations and stuff like that. But this will have an enormous impact on tourism. Direct tourism, that people are coming to Nunavik because they want to visit the land, and also indirect tourism because all the employees, the thousands of people that are going to work in the mines and all these projects will also have some kind of impact on tourism also. So this is hopefully clear. That's the project, the state of the project right now. Thank you.